But they've just kicked off at the Amex. This is Brighton against Manchester City. Let's join Steve Sidwell and first of all John Murray.
Yes, we've got an interesting one here for you. Brighton and Manchester City. Brighton, who are of course in the blue and white striped shirts here at the Community Stadium. Blue shorts, white socks, against Manchester City, all in maroon. And this is the Manchester City team that are coming here off the back of 3 consecutive defeats. It is the visitors who've got us underway, and Manchester City, as we look here, playing from right to left. We have had, I have to say, a very atmospheric observation. Remembrance Sunday tomorrow. Pep Guardiola and Fabian Hürzeler both laid wreaths. We had the playing of the last post, and we had a mosaic of a poppy in the stands opposite. And Manchester City now breaking away here. Matheus Nunes into the box now. It could open up from Veltman. Comes across. Veltman's able to force him to check back, and Brighton should get it away. Steve Sidwell.
Well, good start from Man City. Just what Pep Guardiola would have wanted from his team. I think the big focus for us certainly was before the game the back four from Man City, wasn't it? We didn't know where Kyle Walker was going to play. Was he going to play right back or was he going to play centre back? It looks as though he's going to be playing right back with Simpson Pusey and Vardiel in the 2 centre-half pairings, and then Rico Lewis on the left-hand side. But knowing Pep Guardiola, that always changes and always evolves throughout the game.
Well, as you said that, Steve, Lewis, of course, has stepped forward right into the middle of midfield. But essentially, as the ball's played forward for Haaland to chase, and goalkeeper Verbruggen's out of his penalty area to clear it, absolutely launches it into the stand, right, almost right in the middle of where the poppy mosaic was in the lower section on the far side. So yes, essentially it is Gvardiol and Jamai Simpson Pusey in central defence for Manchester City, with Ake and Akanji among the substitutes today, as is Kevin De Bruyne again. I'll run you through the sides in full when we get a chance, but Kyle Walker coming back in at right back. And actually, as they say that, City drop back, and Gvardiol almost comes back into the left back position, and Lewis has stayed in midfield. However, it's a good deal more straightforward for Brighton, who've made just one change. Kadioglu is not involved at all today, having scored against Liverpool last weekend. He's not involved, not on the bench either, so Adingra comes in. That's their only change. Verbruggen in goal. The back, Veltman, Van Hecke, Igor and Estupinian. Then Adingra, Hinchelwood, Ayari, who's fit, the young Swedish international central midfield, and Mitoma on the left-hand side with Ruta and the informed Danny Welbeck. Manchester City now with the ball centrally. Bernardo Silva on the bench as well. Here is Phil Foden, who scored the early goal in Lisbon on Tuesday night. But then, of course, they totally unravelled for Manchester City. And here is now Jamai Simpson Pusey, the number 66, making his Premier League debut, having started the match in Lisbon and having only recently, when he played as a substitute against Tottenham, actually made his competitive debut for Manchester City. It's come at him very quickly, Steve, as it can do, can't it, in professional football?
Well, that's it. Sometimes you have to learn on the job. I thought he dealt with it very well midweek. There was times it was testing for him, that it's always going to happen with that inexperience, but he would have gained so much from that game. Not just in terms of that one night, but going forward as well. I think the key to this, we can always see when Man City have the possession, they'll go 3 at the back, and with an inverted full-back, Rico Lewis making the numbers up in central midfield. Out of possession, they'll go to a flat back 4, as we can see here.
Yeah, there's no question this is a real test of the abundant character that Manchester City have got. So Brighton 0, Manchester City 0, 5 Live, BBC Sounds as well. Listen to the live radio via BBC Sounds if you're on the move on a Saturday night. We're underway here near the south coast in Sussex, by the sea, as the song calls it. And they're also underway by the sea with you in Aberdeen, Kenny Crawford.
Yeah, good evening, John. Aberdeen 0, Dundee 0 after 3 minutes up here in the Granite City. This is Operation Bounce Back for the Dons. That 6-0 thrashing from Celtic in the League Cup semi-final hurt badly, and this is the first time we'll see how the popular Swedish manager Jimmy Tillin responds to a setback. Dundee are 7th in the league, Aberdeen 2nd. The Dons could go top because Celtic don't play until tomorrow. 0-0 at the moment.
Well, Gundogan very nearly found the pass through from around about 30 yards out. Haaland was on the chase there, Steve, but the Brighton backline dealt with it.
Yeah, I think the key to Brighton today is out of possession. They're going to get bodies behind the ball. When they win possession, that turnover, I know Fabian Hürzeler, he wants him to break at pace with intensity, be brave with the ball there. Man City there, Gundogan, you can see as soon as he turned the ball on the half turn, Haaland was trying to get in behind.
And now the ball is hit from the back by Van Hecke, but out of his penalty area, Ederson comes, all in orange, like a beacon on this very grey, gloomy November Saturday tea time, to clear it away to the halfway line. So the Manchester City team, as we say, it is effectively Walker at right back, then Simpson, Pusey and Guardiola, with Lewis at left back but into midfield, and then Kovacic is there as well, Foden and Gundogan centrally, Savinho on the right hand side, Mateus Nunes on the left, and Erling Haaland through the middle. But De Bruyne only a substitute. I thought he might, having come on in Lisbon, I thought he might be in the starting lineup for this one when the hour of need is great for Manchester City, but on the bench again. And Bernardo Silva, talking about City being in a dark place, well, he's now found a dark place on the substitutes bench as the ball is played over the top for Savinho to chase, but that will bounce all the way through to goalkeeper Verbruggen.
You talk about De Bruyne there and Bernardo Silva, two fantastic players, but what players to bring in off the bench when this game is possibly needed, either to get a goal or get them back in the game, or even to further on and put them more advanced of Brighton. So yeah, I mean, Bernardo Silva in the week, them comments, they're in a dark place, that's just the standards that they've set at this football club. They know how to win games, they know how to win titles and cup competitions. So at the moment they are in a bit of a dismal place.
Yeah, Brighton playing it forward. Here's Adingra, the Ivory Coast international, plays it forward, and then in comes Gvardiol, tanking in on the tackle on Ruta right on the halfway line. You know, he committed himself for that, committed the foul. Referee Sam Barrett comes across, just leans over Ruta to see how he is. I think he's giving himself a little bit of thinking time here, the referee. Looks as though it's going to be only a free kick.
The Ruta done very well in terms of getting his body in first, letting the ball run across his body. But that's the old-fashioned rake down the Achilles. We don't normally see nowadays, but he's got away with that one, Guardiola.
He has. That could easily have been a yellow card for the Croatian central defender as he is today. Ball with Kyle Walker in the right-back position, and he clatters it forward and out of play off Matoma for a throw into Manchester City level with the edge of their own penalty area. So if you've just switched on, if you've been out at a match this afternoon, or indeed at the rugby, which sounded extraordinarily exciting, twice in a row, 2 Saturday afternoons in a row, England have lost right at the end. Australia winning 42-37. So we'll have more. We've already heard from our team. We'll have more at half time, and of course further reaction from all of the afternoon's football. But this is a really fascinating one here. The question is, surely Manchester City can't lose 4 in a row. But Brighton, unbeaten here in the Premier League this season under their new manager Fabian Hürzeler, who is right on the corner of his coaching area. Bright white training shoes, easily picked out from way up high here in the community stadium. Adingra trying to find a way into the Manchester City box on the right hand side. City struggling to get it away, which in the end they do. Ilkay Gundogan is deep back in his own half. I've seen Ilkay Gundogan score a couple of goals here over the years. They actually won the title here, clinched the title here with a 4-0 win. I remember Gundogan scoring in that one. Free kick, if I remember rightly. City have it and have worked it away, have played it away from the back. And that's just it, isn't it? You've said it already, Steve. You know, have Brighton got that little bit of something extra to really impose themselves on a Manchester City side that, seems extraordinary to say it, have got a bit of a crisis of confidence going on. Although it doesn't look it in the way that they're knocking the ball around inside the Brighton half. Here is Rico Lewis back into central defence. Kyle Walker is there. Walker then a low pass out towards Savinho on the right hand side, the Brazilian who's in their squad for the World Cup qualifiers. Savinho uses his pace round the right hand side to the byline, but gets the crossover and it's headed away by Igor. Savinho there showing what he can do.
He did, showed Estupiñán a clean pair of heels there. That's going to be a fascinating contest on that far side. Estupiñán and Mitoma versus Savinho and Kyle Walker, because they're both going to want to attack, they're both going to want to be on the front foot and get running behind and take their team up the pitch. That time there it was definitely gained Man City.
Igor receives it inside his penalty area. Verbruggen has passed it straight to Mateus Nunes, who was a little unfortunate there as he tried to chest it down. It actually bounced off his chest, back to Van Hecke, who was able to clear it away, but the goalkeeper picked Mateus Nunes out on the edge of the box.
That's how Brighton play, that risk and reward round the back especially. They do look to get the ball out wide as early as possible, get the teams up the pitch, but I think we're going to see two sides of Brighton today. Like I said, out of possession, they're going to get bodies behind the ball, be really disciplined, and then up high they're going to press with intent and try and win the ball back as high as possible.
Excellent there from Simpson Pusey, under pressure, picked out a pass between two Brighton players to Foden, who's in space. And already in this match, the 19-year-old just turned 19, by the way, earlier this week. He was 19 on Monday. He's already in this match, having had a difficult night in Lisbon. He's already shown a couple of really classy touches, and that was another of them.
Yeah, even now, look, he's just putting his foot on the ball, waiting. Let me tell you now, when you put your studs on the ball, even for 1 second, 2 seconds, it feels like it's 10 seconds when you're out on that pitch. So huge signs of confidence there. He's going to have plenty of the ball today, and it's about picking the right pass, like that one that we see before. Can he split the lines with a real aggressive pass that will get Man City on the front foot?
Yeah, and just a little earlier, maybe 3 or 4 minutes before that, he received the ball just inside his own half. Ruta wasn't far away from him, and he just sort of shifted it from right foot to left foot, passed it forward, as though there was no threat or danger in the world. You can see him from these touches why it is that Pep Guardiola has continued to show faith with him. Here's Mateus Nunes, former Sporting player. That will have hurt for him the other night to lose in the way that they did. Brighton, who are now back in possession inside their own half. Their only 2 Premier League defeats this season have come at Anfield last weekend, and then that match against Chelsea. Ball played forward for Brighton, but Ederson is out of the penalty area and the offside flag is up anyway, and it's a free kick, and it's still Brighton 0, Manchester City 0, with almost 12 minutes played. So if you have been out and about and you've not heard, already today, our earlier commentary, 3 o'clock, Wolves' first Premier League win of the season, 2-0 against Southampton, who are now bottom of the table. Also Crystal Palace 0, Fulham 2. So Fulham are up to 6th. It finished Brentford 3, Bournemouth 2, and West Ham 0, Everton 0. We'll have more on all of those matches at half-time. Manchester City got the ball just inside the Brighton half. Still Aberdeen 0, Dundee 0 in the 5:30 kickoff. Ball played out to Savinho on the right-hand side. He, with the outside of his boot, crosses, and it just drifts over the top of the crossbar and lands, just flicks the netting on the way behind for a goal kick.
Yeah, Rico Lewis there, as we said, employing that central midfield role in possession. Gets out to Savinho, and yeah, it was an outside the foot cross. I think Haaland was bursting into that 6-yard box. He just got too much purchase on it, just go over and hit the top side of the net. So really calm in possession, aren't they? Man City look really calm, really confident, as you would expect. They don't really get flustered pretty much at the beginning of the game, so trying to set a stall out in this contest.
Yes, there was a split second there, Steve, where I thought it might drop into the far top corner from the outside of the boot of Savinho, but goal kick, and Brighton are playing it out from the back. Erling Haaland, the number 9, blonde hair, long blonde hair, tied back. Missed the penalty in Lisbon the other night, just 1 goal in his last 5 Premier League appearances. One of those little runs for him. Mitoma playing it through now to Ruta inside the penalty area on the left-hand side. Back to Mitoma, but he sliced the shot, he snatched at it, and in actual fact the offside flag was up in any case, which kind of gets him off the hook.
It's a round of applause from the fans, because they found an opening with Mitoma, and you know when he gets that and he's driving that back line, he can pick a pass. It was offside. We're just looking at the replay there. It was a good call from the assistant referee, and when the ball fell back to Mitoma, I know it was a half chance, and if it's in real time, then the game is going and Ruta's not offside. Them half chances they have to take, they have to be clinical in these big contests.
Feels different, well, it does feel different for me today at Brighton. I think every time I've been at this stadium, I've been in a very low commentary position where you feel very close to the action, but today, I think for today only, we're right up at the back of the stand, so it's a very different perspective. Brighton 0, Manchester City 0, as Ederson hits one of those long passes out towards the far side. Savinho heads it down, and he actually heads it into Estupinian, bounces out of play next to them for a throw-in that they go back into their own half. So 0-0 it is. Manchester City 3 defeats in a row for the first time since 2018. As City now with Kovacic driving forward, getting the ball back from Foden. Kovacic then picking out Savinho, who's through. Chance, 1-on-1, and Verbruggen makes a save with his right thigh, I think it was. 1-on-1. He was in the 6-yard box, tried to clip it past him on his left foot, and the Brighton goalkeeper just got the top of his right leg enough on it to block it wide.
Well, firstly, it's absolutely superb play from Kovacic there. He sucks the Brighton midfielders onto him, he pops it around the corner, receives it again and then drives. You know he's going to pick a pass out. He does to Savinho and he should score. He should find the bottom corner. Verbruggen, what a save to keep his team in it.
Should have scored. Corner though. Gundogan takes it to the back post. Van Hecke wins that commandingly, actually. Kyle Walker then heads it forward for the maroon shirts of Manchester City, and then it's volleyed away on the edge of the box. Yeah, what a chance for Savinho, who's not off the mark yet, Steve, in his Manchester City career. This is his 15th appearance. I don't know, maybe it was one of those chances where, had he already got 2 or 3 goals for Manchester City, maybe he would have clinically put it past Verbruggen, but it was a good save by the goalkeeper, it has to be said.
He got past Estupiñán with ease there, and he's done that on 2 or 3 times now, so it's a cause for concern, certainly on that far side of the area. But you're right, got himself in such a good position. He opened up his body, we see here on the replay, he opened up his body just to put it in the far corner, and that diving leg of Verbruggen just poked it past.
Yeah, he stuck out, he stretched straight his right leg and got enough of a block on it to deflect it across the face of goal, and it bounced. I think it spun as well as it bounced beyond the far post. City have got another free kick, a little foul on Mateus Nunes, so a free kick, now a set piece chance for the champions. 0-0 the score. Going to go back to Pittodrie in a moment, but this set piece, Phil Foden plays it in beyond the back line. Haaland on the back post was stretching to get it, and actually in trying to shoot across the face of goal, very nearly put it out for a throw-in on the opposite side of the field. No offside flag for that though. Kovacic plays it forward, and then Brighton are able to clear it away and bring it away with Ayari, who is a doubt for this, one of the 2 central midfielders, the young Swede in there with Jack Hinchelwood, and now Veltman and Van Hecke complete the clearance and actually have played it up to Danny Welbeck. Welbeck, the Brighton top scorer, the former Manchester United man, strong in the challenge, and eventually it bounces off him as Gvardiol tackles him out of play for a throw into Manchester City. So Brighton 0, Manchester City 0, and it is back to Aberdeen Dundee we go with Kenny Crawford.
Yeah, John, still 0-0 here after 16 minutes, but the visitors, Dundee, should be leading Aberdeen by 1-0 because their young forward, Ollie Adewumi, on loan from Burnley, was put clean through, and Dimitar Mitov, the Aberdeen goalkeeper formerly of Cambridge United, stood firm and repelled it, so a big chance missed for Dundee. Aberdeen 0, Dundee 0.
Brighton 0, Manchester City 0. If you haven't heard it, in the Championship earlier, the leaders Sunderland held 2-2 by Coventry, who obviously sacked Mark Robbins this week. It's Manchester City with Foden breakaway, but he's pulled back on the halfway line, and yeah, it's the first yellow card of the match. Ayari just tugging over Foden, free kick, yellow card Ayari.
Yeah, Ayari tried to be too clever at the start, tried to do a drag back flick to pass it to Matoma on that far side. Phil Foden, as we know, he's a clever player. He read it and then he got away from Ayari. Only way to stop him was bear hug him, and then bear hug him again, and then bear hug him again. So it was only inevitable that a yellow card was going to be shown.
Manchester City take the free kick on the halfway line. Yes, Leeds United 2-0 winners against QPR to close to within 2 points of Sunderland. QPR are bottom now because Portsmouth won 3-1 against Preston, and Middlesbrough's 5-1 win against Luton caught the eye as well. As I say, more on that, on all of the afternoon's football at half-time, and indeed all of the details on the football pages of the BBC Sport website and app, as Gvardiol heads the ball back to Ederson, who was in position on the in the D on the edge of the box, and even though he was being closed down by Adingra, Ederson is just coolness personified.
I was going to say, John, that the coolness personified is from both teams really. They're really calm in possession, aren't they? Building up from the back, whether it's going to be for Verbruggen or Ederson there. When the ball goes back to them, they don't panic. Build up play is really good. It's two great footballing teams here on show today.
Yeah, you've been impressed with Fabian Hürzeler at your former club. I mean, it is still very early days here. His 14th match in charge in all competitions.
I was down there the other week having a chat with him at the training ground and watching the lads train, and I've got a lot of time for him. You know, he's only young. He's learning, he's experiencing all the different weeks that are in the Premier League. But the most fascinating thing that he said to me was his style of play is about high intensity runs, getting the most out of his players, and all the stats and the data has been produced so far from their games. They're nowhere near where he wants them to be, so expect more to come.
Goodness me. Well, I wouldn't want to give away the trade secrets in terms of what areas and where he is looking for that to be much better. As Mateus Nunes has it on the left-hand side. You can choose whether to answer that or not. Kovacic just forward and left of the centre circle. Back to Lewis in the England squad again. Lee Carsley's England squad, both of the matches you'll hear on 5 Live. Greece, England, and England against the Republic of Ireland. We've also got the Scotland-Croatia match this coming week, Friday night, as 5 Live commentary in the Nations League. Manchester City back on the halfway line. Pep Guardiola standing with his hands on his hips, and immediately, suddenly, there he goes, pointing as it's played back to Jemai Simpson-Pusey. May well still be a new name for you, this young Yorkshireman, born in Huddersfield, and he's rather stepped in there on Mitoma, and he was a little fortunate. That was a moment of concern for Manchester City, but they were able to deal with it and clear it away.
I think that is the game plan there for Brighton. As soon as they win the ball back, whether it's going to be high up or in the middle third, can they break, and can they break at pace? Be brave to commit numbers as well, have players to run in behind. If they lose the ball, sprint back, get back into shape.
So Brighton with the ball halfway inside their own half. Message obviously very clear to Hürzeler, to his players, as Estupiñán takes it down the left-hand side, but went for the early cross that Ederson, beyond the penalty spot, was able to stoop forward and gather up into his chest. Yes, the players will know all of that, won't they, as well? They'll know what this young manager is demanding from them.
Yeah, like I said, all the success that he's had at previous teams, it's all about intensity runs, and the stats back it up with this Brighton team. I think they are one of the top sides in the division for runs, forward runs into the final third, and recovery runs. So, but he has still said that there is more to improve.
Ball played through to Haaland, who's away from the central defenders. Verbruggen gets a touch on it. Haaland follows up and forces it into the net. Shrugged off Van Hecke, and Manchester City are in front midway through the first half. And Erling Haaland comes to the rescue for Manchester City. 1-0 they lead here at Brighton.
It's incredible. I was watching him literally for the last 2 minutes, and he sort of wanders in and out of the game, doesn't he? You think he's not interested, and as soon as Man City win the ball, they look for one person and one person only, and it's Haaland, and he's in between the two centre halves. He shrugs off Van Hecke, and you think he's going to score at the first opportunity. Lucky enough, it bounces to him. He can get enough on it to put it in the back of the net, but that is all that man needs. He floats in and out of the game. He's like he's not interested, but then when it comes down to it and when he's called upon, he can deliver.
Finished it in the end off the underside of the crossbar. Van Hecke was trying to get to him, but he was away after Verbruggen actually got a part of his body on the initial shot, but Haaland was a yard out, the goal gaping in front of him, and he wasn't going to miss that opportunity, even though Van Hecke did his level best. So Erling Haaland makes it 12 Premier League goals this season and 15 Manchester City goals in all competitions, and also that is his 75th Premier League goal now, and he's the fastest to get to 75 goals in the top flight in this country since Alan Shearer.
Well, I mean, he is the ponytailed assassin, isn't he? And what is so extreme about his play is that he just picks up really good positions. Very rarely do you see him getting man-marked or tussling with defenders. If that is the case, it's on the edge of the box. He just stands in between two centre-halves there. So it's really difficult for one of them to go and sort of press him and get tight to him.
I think it was Ayari who gave the ball away as well on the halfway line. He was trying to play a positive pass. It was cut out, he gave it away, and I think it was Kovacic's pass through beyond the central defenders that Haaland ran onto. Verbruggen having already made one very decent save to keep out Sabinho. This time his save wasn't quite enough.
But that's the difference between the top players, John. You said it there. When Kovacic gets it, he sees the pass early. That's why these players at Man City, Liverpool, the top end of the table, that's why they're so devastating in attack, because they turn defence into attack so quickly, and they've just got the artillery up top and the firepower that will be clinical.
So it is Manchester City who are in front. Mind you, they were in front, weren't they, in Lisbon? And ended up losing heavily. Foden being put under pressure inside his own half, then Simpson Pusey very coolly plays it out, and there's a flick by Gundogan on the halfway line, and then Gundogan, even though Savinho was fouled, Gundogan takes it on Foden, first time ball, Haaland now in the box, Haaland gets onto his right foot and shoots, and it's saved. It's blocked behind by Verbruggen at the near post, and again blocked by his legs. Could have gone anywhere. I thought it might be about to deflect in. It deflected round the post.
It's so good. It's vintage Man City, isn't it? Savinho on that far side, he looks so sharp. Gives the ball into Foden in the attacking third. He fizzes it into Haaland. What a great touch. Looks like it possibly may come off the post, is it, as well?
I think it did.
Yeah, it's a great touch from Verbruggen.
Off the legs onto the post. So it's a corner. The corner, but that was super from City. And it comes. Verbruggen goes for it, doesn't get there, and it comes off Haaland over the top of the bar. That could easily have gone in for a second goal.
You feel like Brighton are just on the ropes at the moment, and if they go 2 or 3 down in quick succession, it's a long road back. So many bodies in the 18-yard box. Haaland there, I think he gets just past Igor, who's marking very, very closely. Verbruggen comes out. Remember, he's nowhere near it, is he? He's looking at that replay there. Haaland there, saw enough a free header there, just glance it over the crossbar.
There's a lot of grappling going on in there, Steve, wasn't there? Igor was dicing with danger. He was the man who had his arms around Haaland, but maybe not quite enough.
No,
but I mean, if he hadn't, Haaland would have been in.
Well, Haaland can deal with that kind of. I mean, Igor's a big specimen himself, but Haaland, them two in the 18-yard box, they can look after each other, the both of them. And you don't even need half a yard now. It's just literally, can you get any kind of edge on your defender and get a shot on goal?
It's like something out of one of those Hammer horrors, isn't it? Haaland, when everyone knows what he looks like, Haaland shrugging off Igor and heading it over the top of the crossbar. I mean, it's 1-0 to Manchester City. They could be at least a couple of goals up with the chances that they've had, and Verbruggen's made saves. So far it's an excellent response from Manchester City, knowing that they are at the centre of the storm as foul is given Brighton's way, and you can tell a couple of the locals down in front of us are unhappy about this, because Veltman was just pulled back. His arm was, I mean, it was held briefly by Matheus Nunes.
Yeah, I think pretty not as bad as the far side for when Ayari got booked. That was more of a grappling and a holding back to stop a counter attack, but I can see where the grumbles have come from the locals in front.
Yeah. Brighton 0, Manchester City 1 is the score. Erling Haaland. It's 75 Premier League goals in 77 appearances for Haaland. And so the free kick, Estupinian has come all the way across here. In actual fact, Ayari hits it in high, but Ederson comes and makes the catch and is able to take it down and underarm it out for Matheus Nunes, who will actually knock it back to Kyle Walker in the right back position. But Manchester City, they have been vulnerable, and this is a back four. Well, I've not seen this back four before, with Walker, Simpson, Pusey, Gvardiol and Lewis. And City this season just 2 clean sheets in the Premier League, which is the fewest that they've kept at this stage of a Premier League season since Guardiola's first season in the job.
When this team sheet must have gone up before the game in the Brighton dressing room, the team, the squad, the manager, they must have looked at that and gone, this is a back four that we can get at tonight. They've got to be careful in terms of just pressing the right moments, because like we know with Man City, once they get out of that press, they can find a pass forward, they can create chances out of nothing. But on the flip side to that, if Brighton do win it high, like they did in the first couple of minutes, they have to be clinical and take their chances.
Actually, when they saw the team sheet, they might have been like us, Steve, and said, well, who's going to play?
Who's where?
Who's going to be? I'm sure they're much more professional than that. Brighton 0, Manchester City 1. At half-time, we're going to hear from Russell Martin, the Southampton manager. As I say, Southampton now bottom of the table. We'll hear from Thomas Frank as well after another exciting win for Brentford, and Steve Borthwick as well. So Steve Borthwick coming up after the narrow defeat to Australia. England were winning. We were sent across, weren't we, to talk on the World Service. When we got back, Australia had won here at Manchester City with Mateus Nunes on the left. Mateus Nunes taking on the Adingra down the left, back to Kovacic then to Lewis. This is on the edge of the Brighton penalty area, but there have been some topsy-turvy matches here. Don't count out Brighton yet, no siree. Foden back towards Kovacic, but against Manchester City, if they have the bit between their teeth, you know, this is the toughest test of all if you're down against Manchester City, to come back and win. Here's Gundogan, who is looking very much like vintage Gundogan to me, and he's found space now, but Cervinho actually plays it back to Kovacic, edge of the area, goes for goal from the angle, and it was more or less straight at Verbruggen, but it was well hit, and he just parried it away. Now Haaland's won it back. Brighton didn't get it away. He shoots early, blocked on the edge of the box. Van Hecke comes forward, volleys it away. Manchester City back in possession again. Danger every time City come forward.
Every time. Oh, there's going to be a break there from a time that wasn't there.
Yeah, Simpson Pusey gave it to him, couldn't take it on.
Really good play from Kovacic there. When the ball came into him, he was going to set it into Gundogan, but he knew he was offside, so he just flicked it up, and it just sat perfectly for him to volley. Fortunately for Verbruggen, went straight down his eyesight, parried away.
And then the crowd realise, I think they sense that Brighton need a bit of help, so we get a chorus of seagulls, and out goes the ball to Matoma, and Matoma plays it into the edge of the box. Gvardiol clears it, and then it bounces for Foden to sweep it, volley it downfield. It's Haaland against Igor again. Haaland carries it out towards the right-hand side, then back infield, and now City. Foden on the chase, gets it from Cervinho. Foden's shot is blocked at source by Veltman, and the ball skews back towards the corner flag and out for a City corner.
It's such good play from Haaland there. The ball goes into there, it's a fight ball, and he just puts his body, just leans his body into Igor, knowing that he can't go through him, lets it bounce, gets control of the ball, and then it's about support, and he gets that in abundance. It falls for Foden, quite wide, probably too far wide. The shot was probably the wrong decision. Just seeing the replay here from Kovacic's volley, but it certainly seems like Man City have got a real foothold in this game now.
5 Live from the BBC. Steve Sidwell sitting alongside Ilkay Gundogan, jet black hair, swept back, bearded, raises his right arm. Gundogan delivers it into the 6-yard box, where Verbruggen, the goalkeeper, is able to pat it down, and the Brighton fans, some of them on their feet in front of us here. It is the proverbial row after row of heads that I'm looking down on, many of them saying to Verbruggen to deliver it away downfield. They want Brighton to be on the front foot, and then the pass forward from Estupinian just gives possession back to Manchester City, who have been, well, very, very good. Certainly coming forward, Manchester City, some of the players being typically slick. City at their best, actually.
It's been vintage City, cool, calm, collective, wanting teams to come and press them, dicing around them, and as soon as they get a chance to attack, they are. But don't write off this Brighton team. I was here a few weeks ago when Spurs were 2-0 up at half-time, and all they needed was a change at half-time. Estupinian did come on to make a change, and then they got a goal early. Goals change games, so this game is certainly not finished yet.
And the other thing as well, if you weren't listening earlier, Brighton, a big plus for them that João Pedro, the top scorer from last season, is among the substitutes today, as is Matt O'Reilly, who got injured in his first appearance after his signing from Celtic. Carlos Baleba as well, who is a doubt, is on the bench for Brighton. Even though there are injuries, Brighton's injuries as bad as Manchester City's list, really, coming into this match, as Ederson is forced to clear away long from the edge of the 6-yard box, and it's out of play for a throw into Brighton. Still no Lewis Dunk, of course, and Minte, the summer signing, one of the many summer signings. They were busy, weren't they, Brighton, this summer?
Well, I think they was very clever and shrewd. I think Tony Bloom see a gap in the market where other clubs couldn't spend, and this was their time to spend. Now, whether that means there's going to be a cap for Brighton for the next few seasons or the next few windows at least, but you see an opportunity for this club to go and spend wisely. and they've done that.
Yes, I think it was a net spend of about £150 million this summer for Brighton, as Mateus Nunes hits a pass downfield that is way beyond Haaland, and Brighton have got it back halfway inside their own half. 5 Live from the BBC, 6:06 will be on the air tonight with Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton. Lines open at half-time. Long pass for Mitoma to run onto, but Walker is there with him. Mitoma, though, back to the edge of the area. Well back into the box, shoots from the angle, and it comes back for the shot across the face of goal from Estupiñán. He was sliding, he was falling, and as a result couldn't force it on target. Out for a throw-in.
Well, this is their own doing. This is Man City, because it's just a ball that's played long, and Kyle Walker should really deal with it better. He sort of go to duck, but it hits the top of his head, falls to Mitoma. He does brilliant with Estupiñán. Is it Danny Welbeck at the start? He is, yeah, it's Danny Welbeck at the start. He goes to slot it in the far corner. You think he's going to go with his left foot, he decides to go with his right. Actually hits the arm of Gvardiol there on this replay.
But not enough.
Not enough, no, he's on the floor. I think he slides down, tries to block. I think he's going to go to the near post. He ends up going to the far post, and where he's on the floor, it's impossible for Gvardiol to move his arm. He's near enough on the floor already. Look,
yeah,
and tucked in.
And also it's in that sort of his supporting position,
exactly,
isn't it?
Very
as he goes down on his elbow. And even though Welbeck's appealing, I think they'll have had a quick look at that. Jared Gillett is the VAR official, and yet play is continued, and Brighton actually from the throw-in have lost possession, and it's a free kick to Manchester City in their own left-back position. So the score is Brighton 0, Manchester City 1. Erling Haaland scoring the goal. Real typical Haaland persistence after Verbruggen saved his first effort, and then the ball bounced through for Haaland to chase onto, and even though Van Hecke was trying to get back, Haaland was able to force it in, shooting in off the underside of the crossbar. So 1-0 to Manchester City, but they've had other chances as well. Verbruggen has made at least 2-3 more saves. Rico Lewis in danger of losing out. Welbeck's onto this. Lewis fouls him. Welbeck goes down 25 yards out. That's a free kick, and it's a yellow card as well for young Rico Lewis, the 19-year-old.
They've shown a great reaction, haven't they, Brighton? They was on the ropes for a 4-5 minutes or so where Man City could have extended their lead, but they've been on the front foot. They want to press high. We said about the intensity. Rico Lewis there getting a bit of a fluster, brings down Danny Welbeck. It's what Brighton want to do. They want to win the ball up as high as possible to try and then nullify Man City and get him back. And can they punish them? They've got a free kick now in a dangerous position, possibly too far out maybe to shoot. They might want to test Ederson from this range though.
Yeah, it's around about 25 yards, isn't it? Estupiñán has come across. The City wall is about a yard outside the box, so that gives you an idea of how far it is. It'll probably be getting on towards 30 yards actually. If that's a yard outside, that's 19 yards. Another 10's 29, isn't it? Well, that doesn't look like 10 yards, does it?
I think it's because we're way back up in the God's Hub.
That's quite possible. Right, free kick. Somewhere between 25 and 30 yards out. Free kick for Brighton. So it's a set-piece opportunity. Long line of blue and white striped shirts on the edge of the Manchester City box. And Welbeck, one foot in front of the other, might be Estupiñán who delays to take it, and then it's curled wide by Danny Welbeck, who went round the wall, was successful in that, but it didn't have enough bend on it. It came back in, clipped the back of the outside netting on the way past.
You could see what he was aiming for. I did think that Danny Welbeck would be the one taking it. Estupiñán's run-up was far too short. There was a bit of a decoy step to try and put Ederson off, but I think he had that covered the whole way along. It just brushed the outside of the net, just couldn't curl round quick enough.
And Ederson has not yet had to make a save, has he? I think I'm right in saying. Whereas Verbruggen has been busy at the other end and has been beaten once. Brighton 0, Manchester City 1. Still waiting for the first goal of the match at Pittodrie with you, Kenny Crawford.
38 minutes gone, John. Aberdeen 0, Dundee 0. Aberdeen have fashioned a couple of decent chances. They've come from the boot of little Lisbon-born winger Louis Lopez. They call him Duke up here. That's his nickname. He's got that on the back of his red shirt. But John McCracken, the Dundee goalkeeper, had to be on his toes to keep those ones out. But Dundee are giving as good as they get. It's Aberdeen 0, Dundee 0.
1-0 to Manchester City here. Brighton with the ball inside their own half. and we have commentary tomorrow. BBC Radio Sport bringing you commentary on all 4 matches in one place or another that are being played in the Premier League tomorrow. It's played back to Igor, who will pass it to Van Hecke, who has Haaland putting pressure on him, but he's able to go the full 360 degrees and give it back to Igor, who hits a long pass for Mitoma to chase, but Ederson comes out of his box and then passes it forward to Walker, but Walker allowed it to bounce. Welbeck will get there first, and Welbeck just keeps it in on the far side. Savinho leaning into him, and actually the ball rolled over the line, according to the assistant on the far side, and it's a throw-in to Manchester City, who will take it quickly.
We're still looking at that replay. I don't think it went fully out, but there we go.
The view, of course, Steve, was not directly along the line. We've learned that one, haven't we?
We have.
Yeah.
Just looking at 2 players here, the 2 players that just pass the ball to each other, Gundogan and Kovacic. We talk about Man City and the state that they're in at the moment, this crisis, apparent crisis. You've got 2 absolute experienced players there that are just kind of controlling this game, in possession and out of possession. So much communication coming from Pep Guardiola to them too as well. Huge responsibility on their shoulders this afternoon.
Gundogan back after that 1 year at Barcelona as Brighton break it forward. Mitoma in the box on the left-hand side, pulls it across, and a falling Rico Lewis is able to clear it away. Now it really did open up there. That was delivered into the path of Mitoma, and he is remarkably effective, isn't he? That he's able to find a position so often to get the ball into the middle.
Very, very clever football player, shifts along the ground effortlessly, and he picks out a pass at the right times. The details on his pass as well. He knew it was too wide for him to shoot from the edge of that box, so he slid it across. Rico Lewis there, a great recovery run to clear the lines for Manchester City. Yeah,
had his injury problems, didn't he, last season? But season before, in De Zerbi's first season, he was something else, wasn't he? As it's played forward by Brighton by City for Foden to chase, but for Bruggen, comes out of his area and heads it down. And in actual fact, the offside flag was up. So 1-0 Manchester City lead, half-time not far away. Going to hear from Steve Borthwick at half-time after England's narrow defeat at Twickenham against Australia. And those matches tomorrow, places to hear them at 2 o'clock tomorrow. Manchester United against Leicester. So Ruud van Nistelrooy's final match as the interim. 5 Live, the place to hear it, 2 o'clock. Actually, we will have commentary on Ruben Amorim's first match against Ipswich, which is on the Sunday afternoon after the international window. So listen out for that. 4:30 Chelsea Arsenal is on 5 Live, but also the other 2 o'clock kickoffs. Nottingham Forest Newcastle is on Sports Extra on your digital radio via BBC Sounds as well. Look for Sports Extra. And the Tottenham Ipswich match you can listen to via the website, the BBC website. Throw in for Manchester City, Foden passing it back, and it is just kept in by Walker, although that's disputed by some on this side of the field who couldn't possibly know. But never mind, as it's played back to Ederson, who passes it to Simpson Pusey, who under great pressure inside his own penalty area, again that sort of drop of the shoulder that he has, this 19-year-old central defender, and got himself out of trouble brilliantly. And Lewis now for the marauding Haaland, who is hauled over by Igor, who is as tight as can be, and Igor is yellow carded. That's trouble. He's got to mark Haaland for just over half the match, and he's on a yellow card.
Yeah, it seemed like he was in control as well. Igor, he was chasing down Haaland. He wasn't going anywhere. He was on the halfway line. I think it was more for maybe the descent of the decision rather than the foul, from what I was just seeing there of the replay, because there didn't really seem to be much in that. He had it in control. He was stood up on the halfway, and Haaland had his back to goal. He was facing his own goal, if anything.
Yellow card though. Sam Barrett was very decisive. So Igor Julio, the Brazilian, is yellow carded, and now against Haaland in this sort of mood, he really does look up for one of those days where he's got goals in him today, Steve. He's got it written all over his body language. So Igor, who was born in a place called Bom Sucesso, good luck, Igor. for the rest of this match. Straight to Pittodrie, Kenny Crawford.
43 minutes gone. Dundee have got a penalty. It's Aberdeen 0, Dundee 0, but Simon Murray furrowed away down the right hand side, got to the byline. The Aberdeen defender Gavin Malloy tried to shepherd it out. He only succeeded in pulling Simon Murray to the floor, and the referee pointed to the spot, and Simon Murray, who's been a brilliant goal scorer so far this season, steps up and it's saved! It's saved by Dimitar Mitov, and Simon Murray, who's scored 8 goals this season, doesn't make it 9 just before half time. Aberdeen 0, Dundee 0.
So still 0-0 at Pittodrie, 1-0 to Manchester City here, and Manchester City leading through the Haaland goal. Ball played forward towards Lewis, who has time and again, you won't be surprised to hear, stepped forward into the midfield. 2 minutes of added time at the end of this first half, as Kyle Walker has the ball at his feet, and then he gets it back, turns and has a look at it. The captain then plays it again towards the right hand side, and City, I think in the situation that they're in, thinking 3 defeats in a row, we're winning 1-0, we've quietened the crowd, we'll take this at half time.
Yeah, this is game management now. This is the experienced heads on that pitch for Manchester City. I mean, I'm still revelling with the drag back from some Busey earlier.
Yeah, and there Van Hecker took over against Haaland. Haaland beat him, and the pass from centre field very nearly set Manchester City away. But you're right, Steve, that was
just the audacity to do it. I mean,
yeah.
he was under pressure. He had no right to literally do the drag back. I think it might have been on Danny Welbeck, but that is just the sheer confidence of the young man, and full credit to him, because it's very easy to come into a team that are flying and winning week in, week out, and as a youngster, and then, you know, show what you're worth. But to come into a team that's a bit low on confidence possibly, and still sort of stand out as a top class player, then Man City have got a real find here.
Yep. Which, you know, if you're a Manchester City player and you're threatening to get into the first team, it doesn't matter how old you are, and he's been a captain at youth level, won the FA Youth Cup last season, won the UEFA Youth League. City, though, playing it forward now. Brighton playing it forward into the penalty area, and was the offside flag? It was. The offside flag is up, and it comes to nothing. A Stupinian, again, one of those surging runs from the left back area. But yeah, he was clearly offside when this tiny little screen in front of us shows it again. And
you'll always see Brighton play on that front foot, but sometimes they need to just maybe look at themselves and go, look, let's stay in the game. Let's not concede just before half-time, going at 2-0 down, where the game could be over against a top-class team in Manchester City. So I think this one just might peter out now to half-time. The fans wandering to get a snack or a beverage.
On the move, down from up here towards the concourse. Brighton, having lost their last 2 matches to Liverpool, both of them in League Cup and Premier League. Now the champions have come here, the champions who were under pressure, but the champions have responded very well, and at half-time they lead through Erling Haaland's goal, Steve Sidwell.
Yeah, he drifted in and out of the game, didn't he, Erling Haaland, especially before his chance, and then it just goes to show the man, you give him a sniff at goal and he will take it. I thought Brighton on the whole have been positive. They try to win the ball high up the pitch when they can. Have they really been clinical enough? Probably not. They've had half chances, but Manchester City really seem cool, calm, collective, and in control of this football match.
Yep. Erling Haaland's 15th Manchester City goal of the season means that it is Brighton 0, Manchester City 1 at half-time here.
Thank you very much, John and Steve. Let me just tell you what else has happened in the Premier League today. Brentford beat Bournemouth 3-2. Crystal Palace beaten 2-0 at home by Fulham. Goalless between West Ham and Everton. Wolves got their first win of the season. They beat Southampton 2-0 to move off the bottom of the table. Southampton replacing them. Reaction from those games to come during half-time. In the Championship, Sunderland threw away a 2-0 lead at home to Coventry, managerless Coventry. That finished 2-2. Leeds have closed the gap to 2 points by beating QPR 2-0. Portsmouth are off the bottom after beating Preston. QPR dropped to the foot of the table. The League One leaders Wycombe got a 1-0 win at Wigan. Birmingham in second, held at home by Northampton. The visitors getting a very late equaliser there. Burton got their first league win of the season to move off the bottom of the table. They beat Shrewsbury 2-0. Shrewsbury themselves replaced them. Morecambe and Carlisle, the bottom two in League Two, both won away from home, but they remain the bottom two. The League Two leaders Port Vale beaten at Gillingham, but they stay top of the table. The National League leaders York beat Hartlepool by 5-3. Forest Green Rovers in second, won 4-1 at Maidenhead. In the Scottish Premiership, Dundee United 3, Ross County 0. St Mirren beat bottom of the table Hibs 2-1. Motherwell beat St Johnstone by the same score, and at Pittodrie at half-time it's goalless Kenny Crawford.
Yeah, Mark, Tony Docherty, the Dundee manager, said in the build-up to this match that he wanted his team to sow seeds of doubt amongst an Aberdeen team who are flying in the league. Well, those seeds were becoming green shoots of doubt when the Dark Blues were awarded a 44th minute penalty after Simon Murray was hauled down by Irish defender Gavin Malloy. Murray himself took the spot. He's a confident lad, spot kick. He's a confident lad. He was trying to make it 9 goals for the season, but Dimitar Mitov, the goalkeeper, Bulgarian, 7 caps, formerly of Cambridge United, he dived low to his left to save. So it's Aberdeen 0, Dundee 0 at half time.
Probably the biggest sports story of the day came at Twickenham, where the clock had gone red and Australia scored a try and converted it to beat England 42-37. We'll hear from England captain and head coach during half time. First, Jill McKenzie and the news at 6:21.
The voice of the UK.
And the home of the Premier League.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Qatar has reportedly withdrawn from talks about a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas in Gaza, a setback to hopes of ending the conflict in the Middle East. The Gulf state accused both sides of failing to negotiate in good faith. A senior advisor to Donald Trump's presidential campaign says the new US government will focus on achieving peace in the war in Ukraine rather than winning back territory. Brian Lanza told the BBC President Zelensky needs to accept that Crimea has been lost to Russia. There's a demonstration in the Spanish city of Valencia protesting about the regional government's handling of last week's flash flooding. Around 220 people died when torrential rain triggered huge torrents of muddy water. And Queen Camilla will miss this weekend's remembrance events because of a chest infection. Buckingham Palace says doctors have advised her to stay at home so she can fully recover.
The Giants of the Southern Hemisphere are in town for the Autumn Nations Series.
This is a pure sporting indulgence.
New Zealand, South Africa and Australia are up against the home nations, and you can follow all the action on 5 Live, Sports Extra and BBC Sounds.
Oh, what a try! What a finish!
Over on the Rugby Union Weekly podcast, we'll bring you the best analysis and cover all the big stories on and off the field. And as ever, we'll be joined by some of the biggest names in the game.
If I didn't try this and we lose, I will never forgive myself.
The Autumn Nations Series and the Rugby Union Weekly. Listen on BBC Sounds.
This is 5 Live Sport
With Mark Chapman.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
Let's start with that Autumn International in the Rugby Union. England beaten 42-37 by Australia. Maro Itoje put England ahead with a 78th minute try, but there was still time for the Wallabies to go on and win it. England's 4th defeat in a row. Here's Chris Jones with coach Steve Borthwick and first captain Jamie George.
Jamie, you just had the boys out on the pitch there. What was the message in the huddle?
Just that there might be a bit of external noise off the back of a performance like that and a result like that. The last 2 performances, obviously, tight games, fine margins, but there's so much for us to learn, and we're going to have to learn quick. But what I said, the most important thing is that we stay tight and we keep believing in what we're doing, because when we put out on the field what we want to put out on the field and what we say we're going to put out on the field, I think we look a very good team. I think when we deter from that, I think we allow oppositions into the game, and that's exactly how it went tonight.
Yeah, why do you think you're playing so well in patches and then losing momentum, and then it's hard to get momentum back sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah, I think tonight probably some of it defensively came down to a loss of collision. I think it's tough for me to say that. When we play at home, we should be a lot prouder than that, and we weren't physical enough. And when we gave the Wallabies a bit of momentum like that, they're always very difficult to stop.
We turned the ball over 20 times. I think there was 7 unforced errors there, which at Test match rugby, you're going to get punished. Every side has talent, has pace at this level, so you get punished, and we were punished then. I think we're all gutted I think every England supporter is good. I'm so incredibly disappointed, as are all the players. You want to say we'll be learning from this, yes, but the pain of it right now is certainly not something we wanted to go through.
The players, were they tactically in two minds, do you think, at times today?
I don't. I think the players. We've been very clear that in the past the shirts felt heavy on the England players, and we worked very hard so that they didn't feel that way. What we wanted to do is have the players wanting to attack with the ball in hand, and they'd done that, and you see that change of attitude. But ultimately, the consequences of it, of turning over that much ball, you can't do that at this level.
The Rugby Union Weekly Pod will be fascinating to listen to. And in fact, on Monday at 9, you will be able to hear the full debrief here on 5 Live of that England defeat and everything else that's happened in the autumn internationals over the course of the weekend. Let's turn our attention to the Premier League. Matthias Cunha got one and set up the other as Wolves got their first league win of the season, 2-0 against Southampton. Here's Gary O'Neill with Rob Nothman.
Well, Gary, let's paint a picture. After the final whistle, you went to your fans, and that celebration that you had with them showed just how much that victory meant to you.
They forced me into it, really. I mean, they enjoy those moments. So I've spoken about it before. It's not my most comfortable moment having to celebrate in front of the fans like that, but pleased that we got to do it, because pleased for the players, really. They've given so much over the course of a tough start to the season for us. We played very well in games and not taken anything, and today we had to fight and we had to scrap, and we got a big win and a very big clean sheet. We all know in your time as manager here that refereeing decisions have not normally gone your way. Did you have a bit of luck today with the goal that was disallowed for Southampton? I don't think so, no. It's a blatant foul on Nels. I mean, he's gone straight through the back of his leg. There's no way that ball's getting to Ryan Manning if Nels is left on his feet. So, that's a foul. Clear and obvious. I mean, should have been given on field. Yeah, I mean, I've watched it back. It's a load of force goes through the back of Nels. So I'll be really surprised if anyone thinks that isn't a foul. Obviously, Southampton will feel hard done by because it falls to their player and he smashes it in the top corner. Well, let's see if Russell Martin feels hard done by again with Rob Nothman.
So, Russell, let's get to cut to the quick immediately. The decision to disallow the goal that Ryan Manning had scored, what did you make of that?
Well, I heard Gaz as I walked past. He thinks it's a real blatant foul. We're going to disagree forever on that, I think. I think my point is Semedo moves his foot away from the ball, so he doesn't try and play the ball. So I think he's tried to take a foul and take contact. So he actually impacts Matty trying to get to the ball, Matty Fernandez. If he tries to play the ball and then Matty runs into him, I think it's a foul for them. The fact that he actually moves his body and his leg away to invite contact, I think means it's probably not a foul, probably needs a bit more understanding and actually could even be given our way because the player's not for the ball. So, and then the goal is given, and I'm not sure that's a clear and obvious error, which is how the definition is. So, yeah, I think it's the fact that I don't know how many people, maybe I'm way off it and people will think it's a clear and blatant foul, but I don't think it is clear and I don't think it is obvious, so then I think it should be a goal. It is that whole issue of the high bar that came in at the start of the season. Does that not seem to have been applied? I don't know, and I just cannot be bothered to waste energy calling Howard Webb and the gang on Monday, because it really is, it's happened, it's irrelevant now. So I'm sure they'll discuss it at Stockley Park. I'm sure they will see it as the correct decision, but my point is about understanding a footballer's decision at that point, and when you have the hindsight of watching it back a lot and slowly, if you move your body away from the ball to try and impact the opponent, I'm not sure how you can win a foul. If it was my defender who did that and the decision made, I'd be telling him brilliantly managed, like you got your body there and you bought a foul, really well played.
Well, Wolves and Southampton fans will probably have very differing views on that incident, but it'll be interesting to find out where they think it leaves both their clubs. 6:06 with Robbie and Chris on the way at the end of Brighton, Manchester City.
Good evening, Mark. Gary O'Neill, wild celebrations with Wolves winning. He sort of needed that. I want to hear from Wolves fans. Are they happy?
What do you want him to do?
No, he can celebrate. It's a little bit over the top, wasn't it? But I mean, are they happy, Wolves fans, that they kept patience with Gary O'Neill, and have Southampton fans still got patience with Russell Martin? Were Southampton hard done by? I don't know. Did you watch the West Ham Everton game?
It was on it was on a monitor in the studio. I wouldn't say my eyes were drawn to it often with everything else going on.
Does that 0-0 sort of sum up both teams' start to the Premier League season? So I want to hear from their fans. Fulham up to 6. What a season that Fulham are having under Marco Silva. And Crystal Palace, are the Crystal Palace fans, they wanted a new brand of football, didn't they, under Oliver Glasner? Are they enjoying the brand of football which they're getting at Crystal Palace? What are they, a point above the relegation zone? And what about entertaining Brentford this season? One of the best watchers in the Premier League. Down into the Championship, Mark Robin sacked. That seemed a little bit harsh, Mark, don't you think? And Rob Edwards... That defeat today, 5-1 at Middlesbrough, I suspect he could be a gone. I want to hear from Luton Town fans. And Morecambe, Mark, the Shrimpers at the bottom of League 2, they got their first win. So I want to hear from Shrimpers fans.
Why are you ignoring Burton, who also got their first win in League One?
I wasn't ignoring Burton, but I got told to hurry up and also say the number 08085 909 693 and book your call.
A good win for Bristol City?
Well, do you know what? Norwich don't have a striker. Josh Sargent out, and that's a problem. I'm a little bit worried about Hofball without Sargent. Aren't you?
Well, it's not something I've thought about very often. 08085 909 693. Chris praised Marco Silva there. Let's hear from him after their 2-0 win at Palace.
Great 3 points for us. Great team performance. Mature performance from ourselves. And with the quality that we have been playing so far this season, I think we have been seeing better things every single match, better things every single day that we have been working with them. Of course, the confidence from the last game for this game is clear as well, but I think it's a normal thing when you win a game the way we won. The only thing that we probably should not be 100% pleased is so many chances that we created and we didn't score. The goals we should scored, and so many times that you arrive in danger areas that we should decide different in some moments, to be more calm, to get more composure in that type of situations, because in some moments we are not going to score always. 2 goals are not considered goals. We have to score more when you have the chance to do it. It's the only thing, because apart from that, the commitment, attitude, the great desire to do better things and to control the game and to be dominant was there again, and is being our image so far.
Premier League entertainers didn't disappoint. Brentford 3, Bournemouth 2. Johan Wissa getting a couple of the goals. Here's Thomas Frank with John Southall.
Another quiet afternoon at the G-Tech. I tell you what, it can't be good for your health, these games, can it?
No. It's I guess it's positive we are in the entertainment business, so great advert for us, for our fans, and for the Premier League. I think it was 2 good teams facing each other, played a great open game, the way I think the game should be played, attacking, going forward, want to score the next one. I thought the first 20 minutes, I thought we were good. I thought Bournemouth was better than us. Of course, we gave them the first goal. And they had 1 or 2 other chances, but at that I thought we grew into the game and it was even. First half, the rest of the half, we scored a fine goal, the equaliser, and then second half I thought we were by far the better team. If you look at all stats, you look at everything, we won more second balls, duels, we were much better going forward. We are so dangerous when we go forward, and 2 great goals. Another kick-off goal, 21 seconds after their 2-1 from a kick-off routine again. So very happy with that. But the third goal, wow, what a goal.
I suppose the $1 million question, what is the difference between the away and the home form? That's the next challenge, is it?
If you can give me the answer, I'd like to know, okay?
Thomas Frank with John Southall. Back at the Amex shortly, but at 8 o'clock it's Liverpool-Aston Villa. Adam Cottier.
A misty night here on Merseyside. Liverpool's title credentials might be a bit clearer come 10 p.m. tonight. They're looking for their 9th win from 11 Premier League games this season. They've scored 19, conceded only 6. Aston Villa have not lost back-to-back Premier League games for 18 months. They could jump from 7th to 3rd with victory.
Let's go back to the Amex, where it looks like a substitution is about to be made once a shirt is found. John Murray.
I think it's Carlos Baliba.
He hasn't got his shirt with him.
Yeah, he's got his undershirt and he's got that GPS black tracker thing on, but he didn't have a shirt. Anyway, he's got a shirt now. He's on. Question is, who's come off?
I think it's Ayari.
Well, that would make sense, wouldn't it? Yeah. Because Ayari was a doubt for this game. So there we are. Baliba is on into the midfield. He was a doubt himself, the Cameroon international. Another one of the youngsters, isn't he? Steve Sidwell, 20 years old, Baliba, but he's another one of the youngsters in the fines who's done very well.
He is. He's done very, very well. I remember being here last season talking to Roberto De Zerbi about Caicedo, and he pointed out that Baliba was going to be, or had the potential to be, better than him. So they, like the Brighton model, they get him in the building early, they ship him out on loan, and then when one goes, the other one is ready to fill in the shoes, and he has certainly done that. He's been superb this season. Looks to get on the ball in deep areas, can glide past players, and then obviously drives as well and can score a goal. Got a good eye for goal, so looking to make an instant impact into this game.
Yep, second half underway then here at the Brighton Community Stadium, with Manchester City winning 1-0 through the Haaland goal, but Brighton on the attack. Adingra makes the run down the right hand side. He's onto the ball now, plays it back. Veltman with the cross just loops it in there, but Ederson is able to come and catch it comfortably high. And indeed, I think there was an offside flag in any case on the far side. So there we are, the one change that Fabian Hürzeler has made. One assumes that it was a risk for Ayari to start the match, although he was yellow carded in the first half, but to make the change at half time, you would suspect that he's just felt that he's not able to come out for the second half. So Verbruggen in goal, who made some very decent saves in the first half. Veltman, Van Hecke, Igor and Estupiñán. Then in midfield, Hinchelwood and now Baliba. Adingra on the right, Mitoma on the left, and then Ruta, the club record signing, the former Leeds man, and Danny Welbeck, the top scorer with his 6 goals that he scored this season. But Ederson really barely tested. Not sure he had a save to make in the first half. Brighton, blue and white striped shirts away down below us, blue shorts, white socks against Manchester City in the all maroon with the white numbers. Throw in for Brighton, which is hooked out of play by Jamai Simpson-Pusey, who has kept his place after making his first start in midweek for Manchester City in the 4-1 defeat in Lisbon in the Champions League to Ruben Amorim's Sporting. Today, Simpson-Pusey, 19 this week, is making his Premier League debut, and he's impressed alongside Gvardiol in central defence. So Ederson in goal, Walker, Simpson-Pusey, Gvardiol and Rico Lewis, then Kovacic with Foden and Gundogan on either side, Savinho on the right, Mateus Nunes on the left, and goal scorer Erling Haaland, his 15th goal for Manchester City this season. And Igor with the ball, middle of his own half, turns, gives it left-footed out towards the right-hand side. Veltman passed through the middle towards Welbeck, sets off on a run now towards the edge of the penalty area, but Kovacic just forces him to check back, and so Baliba passes it back to Estupiñán. Now here is Mitoma, black hair bobbing. Mitoma, little ball in towards the corner of the box to Hinchelwood, and then the attempted pass through from Baliba. That was blocked on the edge of the area. Baliba still goes. It bounces out to Adingra on the right side in the full-back position. Kovacic has gone all the way out there. He's managed to find a little ball into Veltman. Then he gets it back. Oh, and he's taken out by Mateus Nunes. He passed the ball through. The ball had gone, but Mateus Nunes cannoned into him. Adingra went to ground, and it's not given as a free kick. Well, that's remarkable, isn't it?
Well, I'm shocked that's not been given as a free kick. It was a great little dummy and feint from Adingra. Certainly fooled me sitting a good couple of 100 yards away. Just shifted it through the legs of Nunes. How that's not given outside the box as a free kick, I don't know. Very, very clumsy play from the Manchester City player. Shocked that Sam Barrett there hasn't given a free kick awarded there to Brighton.
And Sam Barrett then stopped play because he was concerned that it might be a head injury that Adingra had, but that was... well, I'm surprised. Let's say that was not given as a free kick Brighton's way. So that's fired up the crowd, and now Baliba pumped drops the ball forward for Dingra, who is okay. He's back on his feet, he's up against Lewis, he comes infield, he's on his left foot, lifts it all the way across. Mitoma heads it across the 6-yard box, but straight into the gloves of Ederson, the Manchester City goalkeeper. He was just stretching for it, Mitoma, wasn't he?
He was. We're just literally watching the replay here. He's definitely onside. Could he have possibly have brought it down on his chest? He couldn't get enough purchase on the header to get it straight across back towards the 6-yard box, but Belieber, that substitution has certainly made an impact into this second half.
Yeah, lovely little piece of play by Savinho. He nutmegged Belieber there, and then he was fouled. He was brought down in the centre circle, and I think maybe someone has said something, because referee Barrett is just pointing towards various Brighton players, and I think it's Estupinian, isn't it, who's going to be called across and told to mind his language or words to that effect. So Brighton 0, Manchester City 1. 5 Live from the BBC. If you haven't heard, this week we had the news that for the next 4 seasons we will be bringing you exactly what you hear now in terms of Premier League commentaries, and much more as well on 5 Live. So we're very much looking forward to bringing all that to you all the way to 2029. Tires me out to think of that. As Brighton win the ball back, here's Van Hecke. Lines open for 606 with Chris Sutton and Robbie Savage. So book your call, 08 085 909 693. Van Hecke with the ball at the back. The blonde-haired Van Hecke plays it over the halfway line. Oh, that's a good pass to Mitoma. Now here's Estupinian down the left-hand side. He's got time to steady himself. Here's the left-footed cross, which is headed and saved. The chance in the middle for Hinchelwood it was, arriving on the edge of the 6-yard box. Jack Hinchelwood, the 19-year-old, what a chance that was for him to make it 1-1.
Oh, they work it really well at their router in the middle of the park, sprays the ball out wide. Estupinan just drives the ball. It's pinpoint directly on the 6-yard box. I mean, we've seen Jack Hinchelwood, the goals that he's scored for Brighton so far in his short career have been headed goals. He's not the biggest, the tallest of players, but he has got a leap. He was unmarked. Unfortunately for him, he headed it straight at the arms of Ederson, who parried it wide. Really good chance of Brighton. Has really got the crowd going now.
So it remains 1-0 to Manchester City, but Hinchelwood might now have a problem. He's sat down in the middle of the pitch and he's holding his left shin. So while they give him some treatment, let's get back to Pittodrie. Kenny Crawford.
53 minutes gone, John. Business as usual for the Dons. Aberdeen 1, Dundee 0, and it's come from the boot of a former Manchester City midfielder. He didn't get much game time at all at Manchester City, but Ante Palaversa, the Croatian midfielder, the ball broke to him after a corner from Leighton Clarkston was only half cleared, and he thrashed it into the bottom left hand corner past John McCracken in front of a packed Richard Donald stand at Pittodrie to make it Aberdeen 1, Dundee 0.
Yep, so that will take them top, won't it, with Celtic and Rangers playing tomorrow. We'll have their matches covered tomorrow on 5 Live Sport, 5 Live Premier League Sunday. Is Hinchelwood going to be able to continue?
I think he will. I think what he's rubbing the outside of his knee. It looks as though when that cross come in and he's headed it, because he got such height and a good leap, I think when he's come down, he's just hyperextended his leg, so he's landing with a straight leg, his knee sort of jolted back. He's sort of touching behind his knee and the outside of his knee, but he's jogged off. Physios are talking to him down there, but I coached Jack Hinchelwood when I was here coaching the academy. He's one of my boys.
Well, he must be very proud then.
Yeah, it's always nice to see some of the, especially at this football club, that are known for giving academy graduates a chance, and he's certainly taken that chance. He was fantastic to coach, always a good listener, took on board everything that we portrayed, and was one that stood out and reaping the rewards now.
Yeah, and what a chance that was, though. Here's Haaland shooting from distance into the back of Van Hecke. City fans want a free kick for that. Foden on the edge of the box. That was a heavy-ish challenge by Estupinian. Foden went down. No free kick given for that either. Still 1-0 Manchester City lead, and City back with it in the centre circle. Hinchelwood is back onto the pitch as well. Sussex boy, isn't he? And great family connections to Brighton, as Manchester City with Mateus Nunes. He picks out Lewis, edge of the area. Lewis trying to find a way past the Brighton defence, but just about dealt with. And then it's played forward into the box. In fact, Gundogan along the dead ball line, but just sort of prodded at it, and it rolled into the gloves at the near post of Bruggen.
He done really well there, Gundogan. You thought there that Veltman had full control. He sort of got mixed up. The ball run through his legs. Gundogan run round him. Just couldn't find that final pass. Van Hecke covering the ground to stop. But this second half here, you could have been intrigued to see what the half-time team talk was from Robin Hertzler there. Are they going to come out and take the game to Man City, get this crowd going, or is it a case of just staying involved in the game, being at 1-0, and when we get a chance, try and take it?
1-0 to the away team here at Pittodrie, now Haaland gets away from Van Hecke into the box, pulls it all the way across, and Igor arriving back just 2 or 3 yards out, facing his own goal, and knowing that, I think it was Savinho who was behind him at the back post. He had to put that over the bar, but he did for a corner.
Yes, Haaland there sprinting in towards the box. You think, is he going to shoot? It was a wide angle, elects to cross it low and hard to Savinho, and it's a fantastic clearance, I have to say, from Igor, with a sweeping leg over the bar.
It looks as though that might be it for Hinchelwood. He's sat down again inside the 6-yard box. So before this corner is taken, I think Hinchelwood is going to have to be replaced. 1-0 to the visitors here. Aberdeen, the home side, in the 5:30 kickoff in the Premiership, winning 1-0. Or is it Kenny Crawford now?
Yeah, that might be it for Dundee as well now, John, because after 56 minutes it's Aberdeen 2, Dundee 0. This time it's the Finland international winner Topi Keskinen absolutely drilling the ball through the legs of John McCracken after being set up by Antti Palaversa, the scorer of the first. It was another Leighton Clarkson corner that initially caused the problems, and Aberdeen had hit the post just before that as well. So it's Aberdeen 2, Dundee 0.
Thank you, Kenny. Aberdeen on the way to another win, and Jack Hinchelwood is able to walk off the field here, but listen to this reception from Matt O'Reilly, the former Celtic midfielder, former Fulham and MK Dons man as well, Danish international that he is now, came during the summer to Brighton and injured in his first match, so now Matt O'Reilly on for his Premier League debut, because that was Carabao Cup match in which he was injured. It was quite a bad tackle, wasn't it, if you remember, against Crawley?
Tackle,
yeah. So really good that he's been able to recover. Here we are in November and come on for a piece of the action. Brighton's number 33, so Brighton have had to change both central midfielders, Ayari and Hinchelwood, off. But it's a corner for Manchester City, which is swung into the near post. Lewis was there, he dummied it, was blocked by Estupinian. Back to the corner taker as it comes into the middle, and Van Hecke goes to ground. It's over everyone and bounces through for a goal kick, with Manchester City leading 1-0. Steve Sidwell.
Yeah, you're right, O'Reilly. I covered that game, Brighton versus Crawley in the Cup, and he looked really lively, really energetic. We weren't sure if he was going to start in that game. They give him the nod. He looked like he was enjoying himself. I think it was literally open in 10 minutes, and it was a disgusting tackle. I have to say, it was a really late tackle from the Crawley captain, and he's put him out injured, but good to see him back. But as you said, interesting now, the 2 midfield players for Brighton have gone off. They need to be stable, be resolute.
This is good from Brighton. Ball brought forward from the back by Ruta. Lovely back to front, but the pass forward was just overhit, and then Kovacic very nearly lost it. Gundogan has been dispossessed. Oh no, it's given us a foul. Well, you can hear the reaction up here high in the stand next to the rafters. Brighton fans on their feet in front of us, blue and white bobble hats, fists being waved.
I think from up here it did look like a foul. Gundogan done ever so well, had 2 Brighton players go to track him down. He just sort of shifted his feet in between. I think he did get caught. Free kick was the correct decision.
So 1-0 Manchester City lead, which would take them above Liverpool to the top of the Premier League table. But Liverpool are playing tonight, as you are probably aware. Liverpool, big game against Aston Villa, and Adam Cottier now has the team news.
Liverpool make 2 changes from the midweek win over Bayer Leverkusen. Darwin Núñez is back in. He replaces Gakpo, and Andy Robertson replaces Kostas Tsimikas. So Jones starts and Diaz reverts to the wing for Villa. Unai Emery reinstates Torres, Digne, Onana and Ramsey. John McGinn's on the bench. Leon Bailey and Yuri Tillemans both start.
and Adam will be bringing you updates on 5 Live during the course of 606, which will be on the air from round about 7:30 tonight once we've wrapped things up here. Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton waiting for your calls on the UK's most popular football phone in 08085 909 693 hashtag BBC 606, text 85058. I say that Robbie's Macclesfield won again this afternoon, and if you go all the way down the pyramid, the first team that you come to now that is unbeaten in the league is Macclesfield.
Well, yeah, take my hat off to Robbie Savage there. I know that he's absolutely embracing and loving life, being the manager of his football club, and fair play, the results don't lie. I take my hat off to you, Robbie Savage, well done.
Yeah, it was Manchester City until last weekend when they lost in the league for the first time this season down here near the south coast against Bournemouth, and City it is, leading 1-0, but the Brighton threat is there, and whether this is going to finish 1-0 I think is highly debatable. Mateus Nunes now cuts in from the left-hand side. Gundogan just got there as the challenge came in from Believer. It's played back via Walker to Foden. Now it's with Savinho on the right-hand side. Savinho still waiting for his first goal. Lovely footwork. Beats his man, plays it into the box. Brighton are able to clear it. And then Ruta is rather shoved off the ball by Kovacic, but that's not given as a free kick either. And Manchester City are back in possession.
They've got control on there. Good play from Kovacic there, using his upper strength. I'm just looking at the team sheet here. 2 names that are just standing out from Manchester City on the subs bench: Kevin De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva. What a game this is now. We're at the hour mark for them to be introducing this, because they can certainly unlock a pass or a tight defence.
Yeah, Haaland now, another flick. Some of City's forward players being really high quality here today. In fact, some of the play at the back as well, with Simpson Pusey catching the eye. Kovacic. It's a completely new back line that Manchester City are playing today, with Guardiol and Simpson Pusey. Here is Savinho, who did have a chance in the first half to get that first goal, but it was saved by Verbruggen.
Does look sharp though, doesn't he? He does look really, really sharp.
He has, since he played his first match for City in the Community Shield. There is a goal coming, I'm sure. Ball played down the left-hand side. Mateus Nunes is into the box, tries to cut it back. The defender, Van Hecke, did very well, actually. Adingra was in there as well. It's cleared away up towards Welbeck. Glances it on, but City have got it back. Kovacic driving forward. It almost opened up for him. He gives it square though to Foden. Square again now, Savinho. Savinho curling one, but it didn't have anywhere near enough bend on it. From up here, we were right behind the line, as Jimmy Armfield always used to say, and there was no way that was coming back into the goal.
Well, this is where Man City are at their best, where they just keep going. They're relentless. They just keep attack after attack after attack. Brighton can't get anything off the ball. They can't get no control. They're giving it away. Their turnovers are too many times, and you just feel there's inevitably a goal that's going to come. And the saving grace for Brighton at the moment is they are being resolute in their defending. They're quite compact, but the turnover is too often.
Fabian Hürzeler, Steve, is going to make a double change, and Joao Pedro is going to be one of them. Brian Gruder is also coming on, the young German under-21 international, but Joao Pedro has missed the last 6 matches, and he will be roared back on as Matoma passes it forward, but Ederson is quickly out of the penalty area and launches that away back downfield. 1-0 to Manchester City.
He's certainly been their go-to man, Joao Pedro, since he's come to his football club. Danny Welbeck has been fantastic. The goals that he's scored, the effort that he's put into games, leading that line, but Joao Pedro, a fit and firing Joao Pedro, will give you opportunities, will give you chances and score goals.
Yep, so O'Reilly's back, Pedro's about to come back, and 1 or 2 others as well. I think Lewis Dunk's not far away, as Stupinian loses that. He felt he was fouled, and now Savinho, as Manchester City break forward. Brighton, this is almost last-ditch stuff from them, but it is effective defending, and O'Reilly comes across and is able to take the ball away out into the left-back position. As Igor brings it back into the penalty area. Now goes to Veltman on the far side, the almost veteran Dutch international. Veltman getting it back, and then Van Hecke turns, and they turn up the volume here at the Community Stadium. Ball played for Mitoma to chase, got a touch on it, Walker comes tight on him. Mitoma turns. Walker again goes with him. Wasn't able to get away. Estupiñano. That's a good cross. Headed over on the edge of the 6-yard box by Ruta. Just stretching for it, and as a result, headed it over. And now come the changes, Steve.
Oh, genius play there from Mitoma there, literally on this close side here. Kyle Walker sprinted out to him. Mitoma just put the brakes on and just waited for him to get tight, felt his body drift inside, set Estupiñán, who put a delightful ball in. Ruta, who's just coming off now, had enough contact on it, just couldn't get it down towards goal.
Yeah, so Ruta off and Adingra off. And on comes Gruda, but also João Pedro, the 20-goal top scorer last season, the personal best goals season of his career, the Brazilian. He's already got a couple this season, but they will be very pleased to see him back, as they've made very clear, the Seagulls fans. 1-0 low Manchester City lead, and we've got 25 minutes to go here just to the north of Brighton and Hove in the South Downs. This stadium nestles nicely there in amongst the rolling hills on this grey afternoon as Lewis gets it back. I heard it described as an anti-cyclonic gloom that England is under at the moment by the weather forecaster this morning. Here's Foden, who runs down into the full-back position. Then back to Walker. Walker's ball into the edge of the box. Now Savinho. They've got 3 men in front of him, Brighton. So he has to go back towards the halfway line. Then Walker. Walker all the way back to Simpson Pusey. And Gvardiol angles a pass. Forward again. There's Kovacic in the Rodri role. He'll be out for the rest of this season. The Ballon d'Or winner, as he is now, Rodri. It's obviously a huge Rodri-shaped hole that there is in this squad, as Walker's pass in field has given it away. Brighton were quickly onto it. Welbeck sees the run, but the pass from him was behind Gruda. He could have gone to João Pedro to his left, but he went to Gruda, who was in space there, but the pass was slightly off. Veltman back to Gruda in the orange boots with his socks well down his calves. Veltman back to Van Hecke. Van Hecke 30 yards out, long crossfield pass from him. Mitoma takes that down. Mitoma curls one into the Manchester City box, and it's deflected back across the 6-yard area. I thought that was going to fall to the arriving Gruda, but it was deflected across the penalty area, and the goalkeeper's got it.
Yeah, Mitoma with a delightful ball in. I think Rico Lewis feels as though Gvardiol's going to deal with it. He doesn't. And it actually lands on Welbeck, doesn't it? He obviously doesn't see that coming. You'd never think he's going to be able to control that, especially seeing it so late.
Yeah, it actually pretty much hit Welbeck 6 yards out and bounced square, and City were very relieved. 1-0. They are in front. Ball played through Mitoma. Mitoma, heavy first touch, and Ederson was out like a flash. It's played through beautifully by Baliba for him. Just took a little touch that took it on, and the goalkeeper made the save.
Ederson, first class there. His starting position was unbelievable. That's what made this save. I think his starting position is so high because he's tried to roll the ball out on his 18-yard box. He then retreated to the 6-yard box and come out like a flash to Mitoma.
So still just the one goal scored by Haaland in the 23rd minute. And now the ball over the top for Pedro. Pedro into the area, but pulls his shot wide as Ederson comes out. He got away from Walker. And then as the Manchester City goalkeeper came out, he just got it all wrong really on his left foot and shot well wide.
That's it, he got it all wrong. He has to score. Van Hecke with it's a great ball there. He's onside. He runs in between Kyle Walker and Gvardiol. His first touch is exemplary there. Guides it back in to the right-hand side. Ederson comes out and spreads himself. João Pedro there, you can see on the replay, he has a look up. It falls on his left foot. You feel as though if it was on his right foot, he had more chance to sort of bend it like a Thierry Henry finish into that bottom right-hand corner. But João Pedro there, he'll be really, really disappointed. He's not even hit the target.
What have we got a stoppage here for? It's a goal kick. Let's sort that out. while we go to Pittodrie for more news on Aberdeen Dundee from Kenny Crawford.
And this game might just be coming alive again, John, because it's Aberdeen 2, Dundee 1. Simon Murray has eventually got his 9th goal of the season. He missed the penalty in the first half, but he's just scored an absolutely wonderful glancing header from Lyle Cameron's cross from the left-hand side to give the Dark Blues hope with 20 minutes of normal time remaining in this game. Aberdeen 2, Dundee 1.
Yes, we saw another Murray earlier, didn't we? Glenn Murray, former Brighton man, who's here today. Never get too many Murrays, I feel. As the stoppage is because the assistant on the far side is having problems with his communication. So we've got a stoppage here with Manchester City leading by 1-0. All of the details are on the 5 Live Football Daily, which you'll be able to hear in the morning. You can subscribe for free from BBC Sounds. As I see, Manchester City are getting Bernardo Silva ready to come onto the field, as Steve suggested. So the Football Daily in the morning, the highlights on Match of the Day tonight on BBC One. It will be later tonight, by the way, because, well, round about 11 o'clock, but it could be later than that because it is the Festival of Remembrance from 9 o'clock on BBC One this evening, which... I have to say, I would recommend to you this time of year, Remembrance Sunday tomorrow. It is always actually got a strangely uplifting thing to watch. So that is 9 o'clock tonight, BBC One. Match of the Day after that, but any time on iPlayer, and of course on BBC One on Sunday morning again. So the linesman still getting his communication sorted out, and Bernardo Silva is going to come on for Gundogan into the midfield. Back to Pittodrie, Kenny Crawford.
It's Aberdeen 3, Dundee 1. 2 substitutes who have only been on the pitch for about 45 seconds have linked up wonderfully to restore the 2-goal cushion. Kevin Nisbet, on loan from Millwall, played through Vicente Bazawa, the Dutch winger, and he slotted it coolly low past John McCracken into the bottom left-hand corner. The Dons are 3-1 up against Dundee.
This is a lengthy stoppage now. Bernardo Silva just trotting onto the field, talking about City being in a dark place. Well, it's Brighton for them here in Brighton. And finally now, the assistant has been wired up, and someone unhelpfully, as he just runs back into position, throws a paper cup at him. There's nothing he could do about it. It's a bit harsh.
Typical football fan.
Yeah.
Impatient.
But has that done Manchester City a bit of a favour, that stoppage? Pep Guardiola gathered them all together, had a few words.
Yeah. Brighton certainly was on the front foot, getting a bit of a foothold there, wasn't there, as well? That João Pedro chance, but Man City now, I think Pep Guardiola have seen that and brought on Bernardo Silva. What a marvellous football player he is. I absolutely love watching him at home, but then even more so live. Just a magician of a football player.
Yeah, excellent. Certainly he'll be high up on my list of the favourite players that I've watched in the Premier League, although has not scored in his last 26 Premier League appearances, believe it or not. I couldn't believe it when I saw that. As Igor heads the ball back to goalkeeper Verbruggen. Igor, they sing. Brighton 0, Manchester City 1. And Kevin De Bruyne, I think, he's going to come on as well. So Bernardo Silva is on, as you anticipated, Steve. First Bernardo Silva, then Kevin De Bruyne, winning 1-0 away from home. It is, isn't it? It's one of the testing fixtures in the Premier League to come to Brighton unbeaten in the league here this season. And City and Guardiola trying to see this through and get themselves back on course with a win.
It is, and the scoreline reflects that. It's only 1-0 to Manchester City. Yes, they've had chances, as have Brighton. It's always a contest. Brighton never know when they're beaten, home or away. It's a tough place to come, but when you've got, like we said, the artillery of Bernardo Silva or Kevin De Bruyne on your bench, you're always going to be bringing them on, not just for the flair and the attacking play, but also the discipline. They work tirelessly in the midfield. They can get behind the ball and do the hard yards as well.
So De Bruyne is on now, and this is having had a 10-match absence. Came on as a substitute, 85th minute in Lisbon the other night, having picked up that injury against Inter in the first Champions League match in the group stage. But it's his first Premier League match since the Brentford game before that. So City very pleased to see him back in the league, and here he is. Phil Foden's now come out to the right-hand side because it was Savinho who made way, and Foden tries with the outside of his boot to curl that down the line for De Bruyne to run onto. Estupinian though got there first. Now Baliba runs into Kovacic in centre field, and the referee brings it back for a foul on him, just a tuck of the shirt.
He does that so well, Baliba. Doesn't mind if he's got one or two players around him. He can feel them, move away from them, and when he's got control of the ball, he drives away from his opponent. He relieves so much pressure from this Brighton back line when he does that.
Yeah. Carlos Baliba, this 20-year-old Cameroon international who has actually picked out Kevin De Bruyne as one of the big influences on him. Now they're on the pitch together at the same time, and it's Brighton coming forward with Mitoma, but City up back in numbers, two lines of maroon. Mitoma, left corner of the area. João Pedro has dropped out there. They've had three big chances in the second half. Pedro slips the ball through into the penalty area. It's driven across the 6-yard box by O'Reilly. No one could get a touch in there. Still Brighton in possession on the right-hand side. Back to Van Hecke, lifts it towards the back post over the top of Foden. João Pedro got his head to it, couldn't direct it goalwards. City send a pass forward towards Haaland, who was beaten to it very nimbly by Baliba. And Brighton come again. They're getting that momentum going again. 15 minutes to play. 5 Live from the BBC. Every Saturday afternoon, 5:30, Premier League kickoff. You'll hear on this network João Pedro runs it out of play for a throw into Manchester City, 15 yards inside their own half. And
getting booked. Simpson Pusey there getting booked. I'm not sure what for.
Right. Okay.
There was definitely no tackle, must be for dissent. I think on that last break there from Brighton, whether the cross that was going to go in, I think it was from O'Reilly, just nicked a little deflection from Simpson Pusey there to take it over the head of Danny Welbeck, but I didn't see any reason to moan from him.
There we are. It's his first yellow card as a professional footballer in a competitive match. So another event in his first.
What is it now? I think it's £15. I think it is now for the fine for getting booked in the FA.
Is it really?
Yeah, that gets docked out your wages.
Do you know, I never knew that. So they still charge.
Oh yeah, it used to be £8. I'm pretty sure now it's 15 with inflation. So
it's me.
I've had a few of them.
Hope he's got his pocket money this week then. Simpson Pusey. He's too old for that now, of course. 19 years old. Here is Brighton with the ball inside their own half. 1-0 Manchester City continue to lead. Lines open for 606 08 085 909 693. And Van Hecke into the centre circle, long right-footed pass from him, and he's picked out Mitoma. What a lovely touch from Mitoma. His cross is blocked, back to him, and then across into the middle. Well back on his heels, couldn't get the shot in. João Pedro scores in the 6-yard box, and it's 1-1. And Manchester City are wondering, how did that happen? Well, Mitoma, it was all about him. What a pass as well from Van Hecke. But when Welbeck couldn't strike, João Pedro did on his comeback. And it's Brighton 1, Manchester City 1. And Manchester City 1 goal was not enough.
Well, it starts from Van Hecke on the halfway line, a raking ball out to his left-hand side to Mitoma, who controls it instantly and then puts a cross in with the outside of his foot. Comes back to him, he puts it back into an area where there's real confusion, a melee of bodies. It falls to Danny Welbeck, he can't get it out of his feet. There's about 5 or 6 Manchester City players in and around it. João Pedro sprints in. Fortunately, it drops to him, and he has then the calmness just to lift it over Ederson into the back of the net. 1-1.
Well, João Pedro had actually shown the signs of being a little rusty since coming on as a substitute in the second half. But if you're a goal scorer, that's where you want it.
He was alert to the danger, wasn't he? When the ball went past him and it went to Danny Welbeck and there was a bit of confusion, he sprinted into the area knowing that ball could just fall into him by chance. And as a striker, listen, you take your luck when you can, but fortunate enough for him, it did.
Lovely touch on the far side for Phil Foden, who's popped up there, but excellent cover from Van Hecke, who started that move brilliantly with one of those. As De Bruyne wins a free kick, Estupiñán just stepped in on him, free kick 10 yards inside the Brighton half. So Pep Guardiola bringing on Bernardo Silva and Kevin De Bruyne to see this through. That wasn't part of the script, but that's the way it's going for Manchester City just now.
It is, but there's two players that you do want on the pitch now to get you back in the game and create a chance or even score a chance. It's them two players there.
Well, this is fascinating now, isn't it? Manchester City 1-1 now after Brighton's equaliser, I think in the 78th minute. So the 78th or the 77th. But it is Manchester City with Kovacic, who turns to his left. And at 1-1, and Manchester City have been up against it. Brighton had 3 big chances, couldn't take any of them. But when that one fell, landed at the feet of João Pedro, or shall I say, when he moved onto it on the edge of the 6-yard box and drove it low into the net. Well, now Manchester City, this has turned back into another test of character.
Yeah, I'm sure now that Brighton, the game plan now is just to get bodies behind the ball, not sit back too deep. They're going to still be in the mid-block, but make it hard for Manchester City as they're now. Get a bit of frustration creeping in, a loose pass off the pitch. Then can Brighton just creep up the pitch gradually? But I'm sure now they're just going to be resilient, stay in their shape, be hard to break down, and try and see this game out. And if they can create a chance, can they be clinical enough to go and win this game?
Yeah, and they weren't able to keep that 3rd Premier League clean sheet of the season. As Brighton have it inside their own half, it's deflected out for a throw to the home side. 1-1 the score. 08, 085 909 693. If you're on your way back from any of the afternoon matches, I know that Robbie and Chris want to hear from Wolves and Southampton fans after that match. That was our 3 o'clock commentary today, as Brighton passed the ball to Veltman, and now the atmosphere has changed. It's transformed here as the ball is passed forward by Veltman for Welbeck to chase, just keeps the ball in on the far side, and then across slides the challenge from Gvardiol to put it out of play. Brighton take a quick throw. They're thinking about winning this, Brighton. Gruda, then back to Veltman, and then back to Van Hecke nearer the halfway line. Fabian Hurtzler just begins to send out further instructions from the side of the pitch. This 31-year-old head coach of Brighton and Hove Albion, the youngest permanent manager in the 30-plus years of the Premier League, and as far as I can work it out, he might be the youngest manager that we've had in the top flight, unless you know different. As Baliba, nice touch through the middle, back to João Pedro, then through the middle, it's 2-1 Brighton! O'Reilly makes it! Brighton perhaps their day here, and Manchester City have conceded 2 goals in the space of just a few minutes and are facing the prospect of a 4th consecutive defeat. How on earth has this happened?
Well, this is Brighton down to a T. They never know when they're beaten. They're always in a game. But when they score one and they can smell blood, then they'll still go for it. They work the ball really well. When I said about them just creeping up the pitch when they can, it's real intricate play between Danny Welbeck and João Pedro. And João Pedro there finds a fantastic defence-splitting pass with O'Reilly there. A good time run, and the composure just to slip it past Ederson. What a great team goal from Brighton.
Right through the middle. João Pedro scored the first. O'Reilly tucking it away beautifully. Celtic's player of the year last season. Beyond the penalty spot, and as Ederson came out, a really tidy finish to score his first goal for his new club. And Fabian Hurtzler sent the 2 of them on, Pedro and O'Reilly, and what an impact.
We said it's about calm play, didn't we? We knew that out of possession they would stay behind the ball, but in possession, even the build-up from way before, Igor driving himself through the box, passing out wide, just creeping his team gradually up the pitch, and when they get into that final third and they can break explosively, that's what they've done.
Brighton 2, Manchester City 1, and Brighton are thinking about a third goal, as Baliba claimed that he was fouled in the centre circle. That's not given. And again, Brighton remarkably, as they've done so many times, as they did against Tottenham here, the second half comeback. And Manchester City, who had been so impressive really in the way that they responded in the first half, but just scored the one goal, and therefore Brighton was still in it, and they've taken advantage.
When I looked at the clock and it said 82 minutes on the board, I thought there'd be a spell where they'd probably go to about 88, 89 minutes and give it a go to try and win this game. Now they've got their noses in front. Now it's about game management. Now it's about the experienced players to see this game out. They don't need to go and get a third to win this game. Can you get the ball, take it to the corner flags, stifle the game, slow the game down? All the tricks that's being used throughout all the football pyramid. Brighton need to do that now.
2-1 to Brighton. 2 goals in the space of 5 minutes. And now it's Brighton who are slowing it down as they play it back. What a result this will be. I mean, it is the tale of two cities, isn't it, this one? What it will do for Brighton, who've beaten Manchester United and Tottenham here this season, and now winning against Manchester City, and now Mitoma playing it forward for João Pedro. And João Pedro way down the left-hand side, but Walker was able to come back and check his progress, and Brighton are just keeping it. They're slowing it down. João Pedro back towards Welbeck, and then back towards the halfway line where Igor will cap it in field. Belieber, and they've suffered injuries as well in the match. In the second half they've lost Hayari, didn't come out for the second period. They lost Hinchelwood, the 2 young men in centre midfield, but on come Belieber and O'Reilly in their place, and this positive start under Herzler is going to step up with this if they hang on to it.
I have to say, Belieber coming on in the second half really has given a foothold for Brighton to get back in this game. The way he just picks up the ball from the back 4, drives his team up, presses up high, got an eye for a pass as well. He's really put a bit of impetus in this performance in the second half. Superb individual play from him.
Great scene now inside the stadium. Sussex by the Sea. Quite the turnaround. And whatever happens this season, there is great promise, isn't there? They're one of their former players. Steve, you probably know Johnny Dixon, who's now a big television director and producer. Was heavily involved in Love Island. I mean, the likes of him will be making stories about this if it carries on like this. That was Friday's fact of the day on Drive on 5 Live, incidentally. I have to say, I'd never heard of him, Johnny Dixon. Just a handful of games. But it's out of play for a Brighton throw down in their own right back area. So they will be very proud of it. I mean, they are almost glowing, aren't they, in the stand in front of us on this cold afternoon.
I mean, the first half, the fans, they try and get behind this team as much as they can. I thought they was probably a little bit lax in doing that. There was a bit of a dull atmosphere first half, even though it was a good contest. But as soon as they get a chance, and when this crowd gets going, it generates a buzz, it generates a movement where the players react to that as well. And I know you can say that for every stadium up and down the country, but Brighton, they'll always give you an entertainment value.
I mean, you can't call this a shock that Brighton are winning against Manchester City, because they are what they are. Brighton, they're a very good top half of the Premier League team. It's just, here's Foden now. Foden on the run through towards the edge of the area, but a touch. Foden continues. Veltman's trying to see it through. I don't think it's going to roll out. No, Veltman has to turn and plant it away out of play near the halfway line.
But you're spot on though. We was in the media lounge, wasn't we, before, and we were talking to all the different broadcasters around, and it could easily if Man City could have won this.
Ball down the left for De Bruyne. De Bruyne left-footed, clips it across. Haaland was after it, but Igor got there first and was able to get his head to it. And again, his name rings out around the community stadium. Rico Lewis. Game's changed now. Manchester City, urgency is great. Heading towards a 4th consecutive defeat. Foden drags it back. Foden just gives it back to Mateus Nunes. Now De Bruyne is available again. On his right foot, goes for goal! And it is not far wide. Went for the near post, but pulled it wide.
I couldn't believe it when he picked that ball up on the edge of the box. No Brighton players really getting within close contact with him, allowing him to shoot. And how many times you see him just pick out that far corner with a raking, curling shot into the far post. This time he tried the deceiving one with the eyes with the goalkeeper, had too much on it, whistled past the near post.
Change again. This is the last one for Brighton, and Mitoma who was instrumental in the equaliser for Brighton. That was him at his finest, wasn't it? And he's going to be replaced by the very good Polish international Jakub Moder.
Yeah, Matoma, again, standing ovation here from the Brighton fans. They love him. That's what he does. He just gets fans off their seat, but he gets the ball. He's got one thought process: can I drive? Can I get into the box as quickly as I can? That's where I can cause the most damage to my opposition. And with the outside the foot cross that caused a little bit of frustration between the Manchester City players, ended up being a goal for Brighton.
So 2-1 Brighton lead. 5 Live from the BBC. Another tale of the unexpected in the Premier League, with Manchester City facing the possibility of losing 4 in a row in all competitions. All 4 of them away from home, it should be underlined. But this hasn't happened for Manchester City since Stuart Pearce was the manager. This was before Sheikh Mansour bought the club. This was back in 2006, nearly 20 years ago. But 9 minutes have been added on. 9 minutes of added time, ample time for anyone, certainly time for Manchester City. And they'll love a late goal, but is it going to happen today? Is the momentum, it just has that feel that perhaps they are in just one of these ruts even teams like Manchester City can get into. But here's Kevin De Bruyne, had that last chance for them on the halfway line, long pass that nowhere near Foden's run in field beyond Haaland, and Verbruggen is able to allow it to run and eventually pick it up when the Norwegian arrives.
Yeah, just looks slightly rusty, doesn't he, Kevin De Bruyne? I remember him coming on last season against, was it Newcastle, where he come on and made an impact straight away. He doesn't seem he's got that spark as yet. He's obviously come into a difficult game here, but still you'd expect the quality that he's got.
Kovacic now. Kovacic gives it to Foden on the edge of the area. Left foot shot across the face of goal, but beyond the far post. And Foden's suggesting that it took a flick off the defender, Veltman, but referee Barrett's not interested in that. It's a goal kick, and Brighton will take their time.
Yeah, half chance really, isn't it, for Manchester City? Foden inside the 18-yard box on that left-hand side, wide angle. You could always tell that he was going to shift and shoot on his left foot. Went through the legs of the Brighton defender, a few yards wide of the post. No real danger.
Yes, that match at Newcastle last season, that was when Oscar Bobb scored that excellent goal, wasn't it? When De Bruyne picked him out with the pass. Time yet, 9 minutes of added time. 6:06 coming. Once that's over, once we've wrapped things up, 08085 909 693. If you're a Manchester City fan, what is going wrong? City, after this, after the international window, at home to Tottenham. And then, next Premier League match is at Anfield against Liverpool, who'll be kicking off shortly, or a little later on, at 8 o'clock. And we'll have news of that, Liverpool against Aston Villa, during the course of 6:06. But Manchester City now, trying to dig deep. Kyle Walker allows it to roll. And then Bernardo Silva, Kovacic, Gvardiol, long pass from him. This is for the run down into the full-back position for Nunez. Chased it all the way there. Estupiñán put in the challenge, and they say that he played it off.
Free kick.
That's a free kick for the challenge.
There was a foul. Brighton will take their time.
Well, the home supporters, Steve, feel that they've been free kick after free kick after free kick. They haven't been given. They'll take that one.
I was cheering that one with delight. But just going back on what we said before, when we was in the media lounge before the game and talking to the different broadcasters, no one could really call where this game was. You could easily see Brighton winning this just because of Man City and where they are at the moment, but then you could also see Man City, as they have done in the past, dispatch teams when they are on song.
You know, we'll talk all the time during the course of that he's out about the lack of Rodri. Simple fact is, they're too easy to score against, aren't they? And here today, without Rodri, that presence that he is, they've conceded 2 goals that I think in the normal course of things, Manchester City, anywhere near their best, wouldn't be conceding.
100% agree, especially the second goal, where they was dissected straight through the middle of their team. That would not happen if Rodri's there. No chance with that.
Bernardo Silva now on the right, left-footed cross, which is headed away, comes out to City. Kovacic, edge of the area, couldn't find the square pass to Lewis, and in stepped João Pedro, who is He's almost one of the auxiliary defenders now, Pedro, as Brighton try to preserve this lead. As Bernardo Silva has it on the right-hand side. Bernardo Silva is beaten by the willing Estupiñán, who didn't clear it and has taken it back down towards the corner flag, where Igor does get it away with his left foot. And then given away centrally. Manchester City have got it back. Kovacic, excellent from Kovacic. And then Walker, as it bounces back from Manchester City. That is blocked out of play by Moda for a throw-in near the halfway line.
Just got to try and be a little bit braver. I know it's easy to say, but Brighton kept their too many loose passes, too many turnovers. Be brave, stay on the ball. A different picture will happen.
Manchester City come again. 9 minutes of added time. We're into the 5th of those. Bernardo Silva now on the right-hand side. Manchester City, who led through Haaland in the first half, but second half goals from Pedro and O'Reilly. But in it comes into the 6-yard box, where the arriving Gvardiol, who's such a danger, scored the goal at Bournemouth last weekend, threw himself headlong but headed it wide.
Oh, this is a great chance. It's a beautiful ball in from Kyle Walker. It's a low sweeping cross, and Gvardiol, he's in line with the penalty spot, maybe just to the right of that, unmarked. He's chased on the ball. It lands on his head on the flash. He just can't direct it towards goal. He gets a good purchase on it, but it flashes past the post.
Still almost 4 minutes to play, but Brighton leading by 2-1. They will be denying Manchester City the possibility of going above Liverpool, back to the top of the table. And Pep Guardiola here just a few minutes away from losing 4 in a row for the first time in his senior managerial career. Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Manchester City. What we're about to witness possibly has never happened before. Moda latches onto the loose ball on the halfway line and then finds Estupiñán, and Estupiñán is moving in field square from him. It's worked by O'Reilly out towards the right-hand side. Gruda is there inside the box. City have got back, ball played back for Baliba with a shot. That's blocked inside the area by Simpson Pusey. Manchester City get it away, not completely. It comes back for Kovacic to pass it forward to Bernardo Silva. Baliba just is able to put in the challenge, does very well, and Bernardo Silva then runs into 3 Brighton players and actually wins the free kick.
Superb play from Bernardo Silva there. Believer all over him, and then the 4 or 5 Brighton players get on him and he still wriggles out of it and gets a foul.
And so Manchester City get it moving again. De Bruyne to Foden. Foden's over there on the left-hand side now. Back to Kevin De Bruyne. Couldn't thread the pass through. Blocked on the edge of the area by Veltman. Anywhere will do now for Brighton. Brighton long downfield from Veltman. We've got less than 2 minutes to play. Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton standing by to take your calls. De Bruyne now for Foden again on the left-hand side. Foden's cross, it's gone all the way over to Bernardo Silva here on the right-hand side. Haaland's gone down in the middle with Igor. Both get back to their feet. Kovacic to the edge of the area. De Bruyne cleared away again. Simpson Pusey now, the 19-year-old, forward towards Gvardiol. Kovacic, middle of the Brighton half. Kovacic square to Walker. Walker now to Bernardo Silva on this right-hand side. Bernardo Silva just waiting, trying to tease it onto his left foot. In fact, gives it back to Walker. Time running out here. Just over a minute to play for Manchester City to force an equaliser here. Deflected down towards the dead ball line and then hooked away, cleared away by Moda. Mateus Nunes has gone down on the edge of the box. And it's going to be a throw into Manchester City. Pep Guardiola just walks out of his coaching area. Throw in. Mateus Nunes gets to his feet and is limping quite heavily. And City know there is urgency here. He's just going to park himself in the middle, Mateus Nunes. Now he's in an offside position inside the area. Kovacic, then to Lewis, still limping. He can hardly walk, Mateus Nunes. Kovacic now, over the top this time. Walker with a run. Walker heads it across. Brighton headed away. Comes out to De Bruyne. De Bruyne clips it to the back post. That's headed away. Nodded back goalwards. And a stretch by Verbruggen to catch it at the far post. And Haaland now is involved in a bit of shirt pulling with Van Hecke, and several players now have got involved. Van Hecke is still on the ground, very wisely I think he's staying down. He just sort of got himself tangled up with the legs of Haaland, and And you can hear the home supporters are baying for a red card, but I think for Brighton, what this is doing is slowing it all down. I think Haaland is going to be yellow carded there after that tangle with Van Hecke.
Man City really worked that chance well. De Bruyne with a delightful ball in. It's Veltman that reads the danger, and then after the aftermath with Veltman and Haaland, is one of them, an ego one, no one wants to let it go. Bit of handbags after. Van Hecke stays down. Play on.
Well, listen to this. Brighton almost on the point of victory. Goal kick taken, no final whistle yet. They've not won against Manchester City in their last 6 meetings, but they have today. Brighton are the winners. Another second half turnaround from Fabian Hürzeler's team, and this time it's against the champions. Manchester City now have lost 4 in a row in all competitions. That's never happened to Pep Guardiola before in his senior coaching career. And now it's more than just a bump in the road. 2-1 to Brighton. Steve Sidwell.
Well, who see this at half-time? I thought Manchester City was in full control. Brighton did have chances, wasn't clinical enough. But you do know with this Brighton team, when they sniff blood, they can create chances, they can score goals, and they can get themselves back in games. As for Manchester City, there is a dark cloud over them at the moment. They need some results to get them out of it. But you know this team can go on an unbeaten run. But they need to dig deep.
Pep Guardiola has walked out there. He's not his usual animated self by any means in that big, chunky, zip-up sweater. He's walked between all of the players. He's gone across. He's shaken the hands of the officials. And now he walks off towards the Manchester City fans. So it's never happened to him before. This hasn't happened to Manchester City for, well, best part of 20 years. And it's not happened to Manchester City to lose 4 in a row since Sheikh Mansour bought the club. And he is in a lengthy conversation with Van Hecke, who was involved in that late tangle with Erling Haaland, and the two of them chattering away to one another, and on the edge of the area now, they've got their arms around one another. Friendly enough?
I think he's saying that Van Hecke held on to Haaland. He could have let him go. He's got his player booked because of a little reaction. But look, he's going to shake his hand. I think he's basically, we're watching now live on our screen, I think he's saying that you've caused a situation you didn't need to do. They shake hands and part company, but it's a call now for these Manchester City players. They need big players to step up and be counted. No doubt they've got huge talent in that dressing room, but now it's about character, now it's about personality. They have got it. We've seen him dig from deep before, but look at the sound here from the Brighton players and the fans. They're loving life here down the American Express Stadium.
They are. It's party time here. People are dancing in the stands. The Brighton players are taking the acclaim. It's the first time that Brighton have been unbeaten in their first 6 home matches of a top-flight season since 1982. And what a start this is for Fabian Hürzeler. Beaten both Manchester clubs and Tottenham here this season. So it feels that everything's on the up and up. And for Manchester City, well, this is something else, isn't it? So that's just about it from us for the time being. We'll bring you the live interviews if we can during the course of 6:06. Steve Sidwell, thank you very much for your company here this afternoon.
Absolute
we knew
pleasure.
It was going to be interesting, didn't we? And it did indeed turn out to be. And what about Aberdeen? Did they hang on for their win? Kenny Crawford.
More than hang on, John. Full-time Aberdeen 4, Dundee 1. Operation Bounce Back is complete for the Dons. Last week's League Cup semi-final thrashing from Celtic was a sore one, but the response to that setback has been convincing. Dundee are the latest club to realise a trip to Pittodrie doesn't yield any souvenirs. Aberdeen haven't lost at home since February. They haven't lost at all in the league since March. Tonight, low-thumped finishes by Antti Paloversa and Topi Keskinen put the hosts in control after Dundee had Simon Murray's first half penalty saved by Dimitar Mitov. Murray made amends with a nice header to make it 2-1, but Vicente Bizawin immediately restored the Dons' 2-goal cushion, and Kevin Nisbet made it 4 in added time. 10 wins, 1 draw now for Aberdeen now in the Premiership. Jimmy Tillene's men 3 points clear at the summit. Celtic visit Kilmarnock tomorrow. Full time, Aberdeen 4, Dundee 1.
Yes, they do. Celtic and Rangers matches will be covered on 5 Live tomorrow afternoon. If you're a Brighton fan, you want to listen to the second half again, do so via BBC Sounds. And tomorrow's matches, 2 o'clock, Manchester United, Leicester on 5 Live. 4:30, Chelsea, Arsenal on 5 Live. Nottingham Forest, Newcastle on Sports Extra from 2. Tottenham, Ipswich on the website from 2. All the weekend sport reviewed and previewed. Weekend breakfast in the morning. And Colin Murray's on from 10 to 12, which includes the excellent Great Football Songbook from 10:30 in the morning. And listen to the 5 Live commentaries as well via your smart speaker if you say play Radio 5 Live to your device. It's almost time to play 606 with Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton, which will be coming up after the news on 5 Live with Jill Mackenzie.